I'm also going to go with a win for MyGoodMate. 2-1, I believe. So, Rob, put that down. Charmer.
All right. I am actually going to go 2-1 Stormlike here because we were talking about the lists before. There is no improvement interaction with MyGoodMate. So Sanctums for the blue-green deck and the ramp for the red-green deck are all basically free to do whatever they want. And I think that's going to be a difference maker. So.
Well, I think Storm will definitely win a game, but I think in the end, his red-green with Thunderhide alphas.
You don't like the Thunderhide? The thing about Thunderhide Alpha is, against another red-green deck, a 25-25 will still kill a Time of Triumph hero. You can actually use that to slow them down. And just like the Emissary, it can also still pressure an Ancient if left alone. So I don't think it's that big of a difference other than the mana difference. The fact that you can also ramp into Emissary 1 turn sooner is probably what makes it better. But
the chump blocking. You don't have a Slay in red-green. You can't really, if it gets blocked, it gets blocked. There's not too much you can do. You have to duel that creep, for example, but then you're dueling a creep, so it's not fantastic either. So
I'm willing to duel a creep if I'm doing 25 damage to the tower, though.
And there might be a second creep. You never know, Charmer. But the game has started. We'll jump in right now for the second series of today, second quarterfinals. MyGoodMate against Stormlike. Stormlike, a player, a fan favorite that brought Lodestone in the group stages. Somehow made it through with some quirky lists, and is now playing, I think, a tiny bit more consistent list, but still.
Well, speaking of duel, Stormlike has a pair of them to start this game, and a Celemane's Favor, which you have to be a big fan of.
But MyGoodMate has Stars Align, Mist of Avernus, and Time of Triumph. We saw Swim go off, drew all 3 Stars Align in the last game, and got those 2 early Time of Triumphs. Can MyGoodMate emulate him and find the second Stars Align in this next turn?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and answer that, and I'm going to say no because I don't want it to happen. He cannot do it. Richard is not this kind. He won't do it to 2 people 2 games in a row.
You see a World War II showdown here, Germany against Russia. Stormlike and MyGoodMate representing those countries. I think Stormlike might be the last Russian player.
Well, then, if history says anything, then Stormlike is favored. It is currently winter.
And we are, yeah, we're definitely in winter, so MyGoodMate might be stuck in the snow very soon. Stars Align can be drawn here, though. And is not, so for now, Stormlike is safe.
The world rejoices at your strength.
I think that we might end up seeing a Druid here, or not. I was expecting a Druid to come down here and then a Celemane's Favor like backwards to this lane, but instead, Stormlike wanted to cycle. I think that cycle could have been done in the other lane.
Very surprising. Time of Triumph is not currently in hand, so it doesn't have the right payoff for next turn anyway. And if you Celemane's Favor now, you can still get the Spring the Trap there. If you put Legion in lane 1, we see it happen here. Celemane's come down. See 6 mana now available. Next turn, we 1 more mana, so 7 will be there for Stormlike. And a lot of heroes dying. The early spot weakness in turn 1 actually killed the Axe and was able to trade, so actually a pretty important thing there for MyGoodMate.
Yeah, I think that was actually what Stormlike was hoping to accomplish, was trade with the Axes with his own spot weakness cycle, but the Omni Knight signature card actually mattered there and kept him alive.
See 13 gold. A Blink Dagger found. Mobility has been, a big theme in these red-green ramp mirrors where you have to have the, chance to move your Time of Triumph heroes to different lanes to pressure somewhere else, and the Blink Dagger is found for MyGoodMate. Only the Stonehall Cloak there for Stormlike. So what do you think ANF means?
Abercrombie and Fitch. He's very clearly a Russian model. Look at this Adonis of a human being on the webcam.
It's a Nike polo.
Well, I mean, he's expanding his branding opportunities.
I can get behind that, but maybe 10 years too late. I think that ship has sailed already, but Duel does come down here from Legion Commander, does kill the Treant, does stop any form of possible ramping with Stars Align, even though it's not in hand, but Spring the Trap is still there.
Yeah, I'm a fan of that move because, as we've talked about throughout this tournament, one of the ways you can keep red-green down is by preventing the ramp portion so that they cannot play their expensive cards early.
And Stars Align has been found for MyGoodMate, which means that next turn, because a favor has not been played, it's only the Mist, he can find that turn 4 Time of Triumph.
Yes, and Stormlike just needs to draw a Time of Triumph because with the Celemane's Favor, it's going to be online next turn as well. And as we've mentioned before, MyGoodMate has no ways natively in his deck to interact with improvements, so the Favor is going to stick around.
Spring the Trap does come down from Stormlike.
Yep.
Able to allow some blockage here, get some damage on Treant as well to maybe set up a duel next turn, 3 in hand. If Time of Triumph is not found, the duel can come down and stop the Stars Align. Initiative will be very important. If MyGoodMate has it, even if his Treant will die, he has a chance to Stars Align first and then allow that death to happen. Axe might just blink away to lane 3 to help out there, or lane 2 even.
Or they might just be thinking, let's get some extra damage on the tower, but no. They want to go help fight that second lane.
We'll see the Bronze Legionnaire come down here, possibly can curve into that Centaur Hunter on the right side, or even just a spot weakness to cycle. Try and find maybe a second Stars Align for lane 2. Could be a gamble, but, well, not going to play anything actually, so that's surprising.
Yeah. Both of these players are kind of looking for any incremental advantage they can get right now. They know that they're coming to the critical mass turns, if you will, and I love this Unearthed Secrets. You know you need to find either another ramp if you want to play Thunderhide Alpha, or, again, find your own Time of Triumph so that you can play it the following turn.
Stonehold Lee comes down in 14 damage being threatened on lane 2. I have to imagine Bristleback will be going to lane 1 just to have that 3-hero Time of Triumph.
And Berserker's Call found for Stormlike, so still no Time of Triumph.
Now, Stars Align would still be a pretty good draw for Stormlike, but there are no green heroes in lane 1, unfortunately, which means that Thunderhide Alpha cannot come into play. 9 gold, and the golden ticket is there. MyGoodMate, you have failed me once again, you despicable man.
MyGoodMate has not seen how the other games have went today and doesn't realize that if you pray to Richard, you will be rewarded.
Bristleback going to lane 1 to secure this 3-hero Time of Triumph, but initiative is in favor of Stormlike.
Yeah,
Duel is in hand.
With 3 duels, I have to imagine that you make this play, right? Because even if you draw your own Time of Triumph, you're not going to play a 1-hero Time of Triumph and then get hit by a 3-hero version. So I expect a duel. Please, Stormlike, do not let me down.
That being said, the Time of Triumph can still come down in lane number 2. There are still a red and a green hero there and 6 mana, so we'll see what comes down here. If the duel does come down, we could still see, a few Legionnaires played in this lane instead, but Stormlike does know that the Stars Align Time of Triumph combo is a possibility. Takes down the Treant before he can play the Stars Align.
And unfortunately, still no Time of Triumph drawn, but with that Stars Align, if he had, he could have ramped into it. And this might be one of those instances where having the Thunderhide Alpha is a detriment, because if you had an Emissary, it would theoretically be online in that middle lane where you have a green hero.
And now there are no Jasper Daggers in hand for Stormlike, so a duel cannot come down onto Omni-Knight, for example, and kill it before Stars Align comes down. Regardless, initiative will be kept by MyGoodMate.
You're not escaping.
The Legionnaire's not played here.
Now there may be a temptation for something like a Berserker's Call. If you're going to lose this trade anyway, you clear out the creep and save your own. But it is a powerful card, so sometimes saving it is more attractive.
That being said, enough magic is in the list for Stormlike, so maybe this is MyGoodMate saying, I need to get the Stars Align off this turn. I need to keep initiative. I cannot play, the weakness to cycle the Legionnaires to get some border control to kill some of these creeps, so.
Yeah.
And duel coming down, killing the creep. Of course, these creeps are much more valuable in this lane because of the Mist of Avernus. Legion will survive, of course.
Yep, and still be able to make this trade. And wow, MyGoodMate now cycles. Hands, I think after seeing 2 duels, he's probably saying, okay, I'm safe.
He doesn't have a third duel.
There's no way he has a 3rd duel here, right?
But regardless, even if he did, he cannot kill the Omni-Knight this turn. There isn't Retaliate on Bristleback, so really the enough magic is the big issue for MyGoodMate here. He has to be careful for. The Berserker's Call can come down, but again, with 8 attack, it will not kill the Axe or the Omni-Knight without a Jasper Daggers to equip as well, so. MyGoodMate is safe here to play Stars Align.
Yeah, this is going to be a very big turn for MyGoodMate.
And of course, we can see a blink maybe from an Axe as well into lane 3 with the Time of Triumph to take over that lane as well. because the Omni Knight will be big enough, I think, unless the heal comes in from Omni Knight, to take down the Omni Knight with 4 damage from the cleave and this axe as well, or this bristleback as well.
We also might just see the Blink Dagger in hand go down on Omni Knight and ship that hero, because this axe is going to be hitting the tower after the Time of Triumph. That'll be a big chunk of damage, and it's already wearing a blink, so you can use that later.
We'll see. There's no real response other than duel from Stormlike, but again, with the Town Portal Scroll instead of a Blink Dagger or a Jasper Daggers, you cannot threaten the kill on any of these heroes at the moment. It can duel Stonehall Elite, for example, but that's about it. Time of Triumph comes down on 2 of these heroes for MyGoodMate in the second lane. When we see the damage coming through from Omni Knight, of course, there is nothing in front of the axe, so the cleave won't spill onto the creep or the bristleback, but still we see the kill here on both heroes, unless this heal comes down. There we see it.
Now again, we may possibly see a Blink Dagger on this Omni Knight. And no, all right. That will really push things in favor of MyGoodMate. This lane is currently Stormlike's, but not for long in my opinion. There's no reason to not come combat this.
Well, I think with this extremely wide lane, you can just focus on lane 1 now. You can just try and, pile all your heroes there, blink out one of these 2 heroes with 3 HP on second lane, and the turn after this, have, a dominating 4 hero split maybe on lane 1 and just go all in.
I mean, that is a possibility. The thing is if you've got Time of Triumph heroes, right? Yes, that board is wide, but you're like 1 or 2 turns away from cleaving right through that.
The Thunderhide Alpha has come online naturally in lane 1 with a favor already on the board, so Stars Line not needed. The Treant is here. We could see, with initiative, a duel or Berserker's Call, and there it is. Berserker's Call comes down just to guarantee that the Thunderhide, the double Thunderhide Alpha in hand, cannot be played. Time of Triumph was finally found, but you have only 1 green hero in lane 2 and 1 red hero in lane 3, so very awkward hand for Stormlike.
Yeah, and what's worse is the next turn you're going to have 2 red heroes come down, but your Omni Knight is currently being threatened in the middle lane, so you're still a few turns away from stars aligning into anything, right? The Thunderhide Alphas will not come down next turn. You might be able to get a 2-hero Time of Triumph naturally just because you're hitting mana turn 8, but at that point you're so far behind that I'm not sure it helps.
And if only there was a duel in hand here, we could see MyGoodMate kill the Omni Knight, stop any plays from him, and then leave the Stonehall Elite by itself to take down this tower. And then we could see a double blink into lane 1 and a 3-hero, or a 5-hero rather, stack in that first lane to take it down. But with no play to punish this Omni Knight, there is still a chance that mana can be saved, and then you never really know what's going to happen. But now, there's full solitaire possibility for MyGoodMate. He will probably spring the trap to lane 1 and blink out both heroes. So it's going to be a 5-hero stack on lane 1, I believe. He could blink out the axe to lane 3 like you mentioned. It is a chance.
Yeah, I think at this point, though, you're just going to go for the win. There's no reason to not go all in on lane 1, because against red-green, again, there's no annihilation, no big board sweep. Wow.
Town Portal Scroll for the heal. I like it. You leave the Blink Dagger for next turn to have, a chance if you want to move to lane 3, for example, to defend, or even to lane 2.
Also, the positioning of the dagger, depending on how arrows line up, might mean additional damage, right? Like if you're trying to ensure that you can maximize your damage done to the tower, placement on one of those 3 heroes could be a big deal.
And now if MyGoodMate can find another Time of Triumph on 5 heroes, that might just be game with the siege damage alone. So the Jasper Daggers come in, can help with duels and Berserker's Calls potentially. And we'll see a full stack in lane 1. 5v3, and Time of Triumph already in the favor of MyGoodMate, but 10 mana up for Stormlike.
This is a team fight, right? Like if you've played a MOBA and you have ever experienced a team fight, this is like the closest that you'll see in Artifact. This is a stacked lane.
The Berserker's Call and all fantastic, but Time of Triumph can go down first, but then there's no blockers, so there really isn't that chance from Stormlike. He has to try and find blockers, which he has 2 up, but they're very expensive ones.
So Thunderhide Alpha comes down, and as I said before,
damage going through, so that's going to be a pass from MyGoodMate. He seals the deal here with the damage, the 32 points going through. Stars Align can come in, but you do not have any. Well, you have the Bronze Legionnaire to block, actually, but Berserker's Call will answer back, I think, from MyGoodMate. It'll depend on the placement here.
Yeah. So not going to be enough because it's too little too late, but as I said before, a 25-25 will still kill a Time of Triumph hero pretty effectively.
There's the block, 4 damage needed. We have 2 Legionnaires in hand, so even if one curves, there's still, going to be guaranteed lethal for MyGoodMate. There's a curve, which you talked about, but still a second one in hand, thankfully, for MyGoodMate. No more mana for Stormlike. And there's a lethal presented, 26-26. And MyGoodMate takes the first game of this series. The blue coin appears, and that's going to be it for Stormlike. Like we mentioned, the Thunderhead Alpha is a bit clunky. Couldn't play that Emissary early if you had it in hand instead, and the ramp was just found by MyGoodMate before.
Yes.
And was able to take over lane 2, blink to lane 1, and just go all in there as well. So,
yeah, Stormlike, I think, did the best with what he had. You mentioned the Emissary, if it was present, could have came down instead of having to wait like you have to do with the Thunderhead Alpha, but Stormlike, just from behind most of that game, was trying to not die, and that's really difficult to do with the red-green list.
And in this Conquest format, MyGoodMate has to move on to a second deck. His first deck has a win already, has to put it back.
Yeah, and as far as things you want to see in your opening hand as a red-black player against red-green, gank is amazing.
Yeah, after this first turn, we'll see, Axe down to 4 HP. We'll see Omni-Knight down to 2 HP, where even a pickoff could come in clutch, although there is not a pickoff in the list for MyGoodMate, unfortunately.
Yeah, not in this particular list, but again, ganks and duels are your best friend against red-green as a red-black deck, because you want to keep them from ramping up, getting their combo off. So seeing this gank early has got to be very attractive. Creep spawn here is going to be really important for MyGoodMate, because with Sorla coming down, you want it to land in an open position. Yeah,
your best situation is going to be a lane 2 deployment maybe, but then you have both black heroes in the same lane, so you have to go in lane 1 actually. So unfortunate for Sorla, will not be doing her job, will be hitting probably a creep instead of the tower. And Ku can also be really clutch against Time of Triumph, where the stats are so huge you can't really do direct damage to kill a hero. The Ku says, I don't really care about stats, I'm just going to, assassinate this hero anyway and kill it.
MyGoodMate actually goes to the middle lane, says I'd prefer the 50-50 chance. We know that that means Sorla's not hitting the tower, right? Mm-hmm. But prefer the 50-50 chance. I'm going to lose my black hero there anyway, so...
And you have the Roseleaf Druid to block as well, regardless, if you are Stormlike. So the ramp, not really found for Stormlike. You have the Roseleaf Druid, but that's pretty much it. No Salamini's favor, no Stars Align either. And again, the somewhat clunky Thunderhead Alpha stuck in hand.
I was just getting ready to say we might see All Seeing One's favor, because that will save a number of units here. Not quite Axe, but...
And this is now a brick wall that MyGoodMate has to go through in lane 1. These heroes, these creeps are very healthy, not taking any damage, only the Axe taking 4 there from the Bristleback, so it will be tough for MyGoodMate to penetrate this wall. The Standard Bearer can help, but it would not save the Bristleback either.
No, it's not going to, because even if you put it in front of the Legionnaire, you're only negating 4 damage. Mm-hmm. Will allow this creep to trade, though, to kind of negate the effects of the All-Seeing One's favor. And as we come here, I have to imagine we're going to see Roseleaf Druid come down, since we saw the Omni-Knight signature card in the first lane.
We could see a Hipfire go down on the creep, though, and 14 damage will be pushed to the tower, or 12 damage, rather, with a +4 effect from Sorla. There we see it. Omni-Knight is dying anyway, so favoring tower damage over saving the PA.
And I like it. I like it a lot. Sorla is there to hit towers.
The Nasal Degu trade potentially here. The duel not really favoring... Well, it would kill the Legion, but then the Retaliate will kill the Bristleback as well, so not fantastic for Stormlike. He can play the Nasal Glue. It is a modify effect, so it'll stick around with Legion Commander anyway later on, and it could be useful. The duel does come down in the end.
We are going to see a trade here. Okay. I'm wondering if, hear me out, Stormlike looked at the numbers and said, okay, my Bristleback isn't dying here, so if I duel, it's not going to die, and forgot about how Retaliate works and the way the arrows were positioned.
I hope not. I think Stormlike is at the level, you know, top 8 of this tournament to know how -2 armor and retaliate works. We'll see Sorla very much alone. Legion has to maybe come in to try and contest that, but the phase boots plus the gank could be a potential solution to kill this Sorla if this Legion commander does not land in front, but the curve comes in from Sorlikon anyway.
Sorlikon says, hey, this creep is far more important than a tower.
And ramp still not found for Stormlike. Has an impressive wall here in lane 1. He has that going for himself, but everything else is missing for Stormlike. No ramp, no stars align, no Selim in his favor, no board control on lanes 2 or 3.
Yeah, I really want to highlight how insane that third lane is, right? Like, look at all the action going on there. We have a 40 health tower and a 40 health tower and 0 units. It is
very exciting.
It is the messiest lane I've seen throughout the entire tournament.
There's no escaping Axe.
You see the blink on Axe. No red plays to be made, actually. Only black cards drawn in this red-black list. So unfortunate there for MyGoodMate. He has a Tyler State here. He has a few options. Berserker's Call can come down.
I'm ready.
After the Stonehawk Cloak was equipped, phase boots were used on Axe instead. So all of a sudden,
man,
the Tyler State has to come down and stop this Berserker's Call if it's what MyGoodMate expects. He can.
Yeah. I was going to say, there's a lot of options here, right? Tyler Estate, if you expect to call. You have Vandal if you just want to conservatively push damage. You could, in theory, just gank that creep, and then that opens up a lot of damage against the tower, but with your opponent having mana to spend, you have to assume they would play blockers. Yeah.
There's a Tyler Estate. It brings down the mana to 5, which means that Berserker's Call cannot be used this turn, and only Viscous Nasal Goo a possibility for Stormlike, but because the Sorlikon is not taking any damage, not going to affect the outcome of this round right now, but it is a modified effect, so it will stick around for future turns.
And here's that amazing lane 3. Look at that action.
High IQ stall pass from both opponents to just make sure nothing goes wrong there. Initiative is going to be in favor of MyGoodMate, though, and 3 heroes coming back for each of these players.
I'm all right. I'm a little bit shocked that we're not seeing at least one hero for MyGoodMate go to that third lane, but
you're just trying to break through this wall.
I suppose with the Axe having a Blink Dagger already, if things do not go your way in the first lane, you always can bail out.
But Treant having that Stonehawk Cloak means that every turn it gains 2 attack, keeps that regen on the lane, on the board, keeps it active, and every creep, as we see it here, very healthy creeps.
However, MyGoodMate does have a coup de grace.
Yeah, there we see it.
And that says, I don't care how big your health total is.
You're not my equal.
And now all of a sudden the creeps are back to mortal status, taking some damage here. Some damage pushed through from MyGoodMate as well. Still, ramp not drawn for Stormlike. Has the Blink Dagger at least, but no stars align. We're going to check that he does have them in his deck. Can confirm. 3 stars align, 3 summon in his favors.
Yeah, we're 2 games in, and Stormlike has not seen a single stars align because it was Selemene's favor that was found the last game. Actually, I think he drew a stars align late but never played it because at that point it was inconsequential. And
the gold comes into the exiles from the kill on Treant and is able to take down this creep in front of it. So slowly unwidening the lane in lane 1 to try and start pushing through tower damage here. Lane 2 already has been damaged, has the Gloaty Vandal as well to push through, has the gank if he wants it, but Berserker's Call is still an option to kill the Sorla, for example.
yeah, there's not much else that Stormlight can really do in this lane, right? Smash their defenses as a dead card for you. The Berserker's Calls just are not attractive. Even if you were to equip the Blink Dagger, it's not enough to kill the Legion. It's not enough to kill the Axe. This is not looking great for Stormlight. All right, so we're just going to resolve combat as is and jump to this second lane. And because of the Tyler Estate sensor, Berserker's Call is not currently an option.
Yeah, the Roseleaf Druid was there the last turn, because it died. We're back to 5 mana. Still has not moved forward at all. Still in the same spot, so Berserker's Call not an option any longer. The smash is there, but the Assault Ladders were discarded instead by Ku. There is a heal from Omni Knight to keep the Legion a tiny bit. You can heal 1 health point there. if you want to be efficient with your active use.
All
right, so there's an Agloti Vandal to represent 8 potential damage. 4 from the comes into play effect, 4 from it attacking, and with no blockers available for Stormlike, it will hit that tower.
Just a very awkward hand from Stormlike. I mean, nothing to be done here at mana turn 5. You can't make any impactful plays. It's just terrible for him. You have Berserker's Call, but the Tower State counters that. And your tower down to 18. Bristleback alone in the lane. He has to play Berserker's Call to even do damage to the tower. If he blinks out here, that's just a useless round for Bristleback, and that's just things not going the way for Storm, like, you know, his way. He does not have the ramp, has to blink back a hero and gets no effect. It's basically you don't have a hero on the board basically for that turn, so.
Does draw a card there, though, because of the Unearthed Secrets. Picks up a duel. That should be helpful.
Right now it's 7 mana in lane 1. Spring the Trap is available. Time of Triumph or Stars Align can be drawn in succession, but probably not, considering Stormlike has had pretty bad draws all day long.
And you are correct, sir. We have a
surprise.
Viscous Nasal Goo and a Bronze Legionnaire.
The Phase Boots come out. The active ability moves Axe from the Axe pairing there in this first lane. Stoneholly can come down. Repso Signet Ring on Legion will save it. There's no item currently in hand for Stormlike, so there's no chance to save this Bristleback.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Stormlike just hasn't really had the option to start getting things going in his favor. So short on gold, short on board presence, and short on ramp all game.
And Sorla not attacking tower once again, failing at her job.
Sorla is not allowed to attack towers. She's just not.
The duel comes down. Bristleback will survive here, so it'll be a 2-for-1 special. Well, a 1-for-1 special because Legion will probably be surviving with this Reptile Signet Ring equipped. And a Stonehall Elite can be played in this gap here. Or maybe a gank to stop plays in lane number 2.
Yeah, I am kind of a fan of thinking about ganking that Omni Knight because it would remove it. Your Phantom Assassin would survive.
And because there wasn't a green hero in lane 1, you can still think your opponent drew into Stars Align.
Yeah.
By killing the Omni Knight, you now stop this possibility. Even if Stars Align was in hand with Time of Triumph, it cannot be played now in lane 2 because the green heroes aren't there. So MyGoodMate, thinking of the worst possible outcome, is out to the way he can lose the game basically,
right?
And saying I'm going to do this. Lane 1's not going to have the greatest push, but still lane 2 will be totally in my control.
Yeah, that's exactly what MyGoodMate has to be thinking. To beat our horse to death, beat that Thunder Horse Alpha to death. If you kill the green heroes when you're playing against red-green, they cannot do the burst ramp, and then thus cannot Time of Triumph.
Now, one of these 2 heroes can be saved. Either Legion or Stonehall. You cannot save both.
Stonehall Elite? That's the one we're trying to save?
Or Phantom Assassin.
I mean, I know that we've seen some Stonehalls that were as big as heroes throughout this tournament.
And the Legion saved instead, so Phantom Assassin going to be going to the grave.
Yep.
Could have been safer to save Phantom because it was matched up against a creep, so even a weapon wouldn't kill it, but because there are no items in hand.
Yeah, the other nice thing about potentially saving Phantom Assassin there is it leaves you open to gank the next turn as well if you're worried about Time of Triumph with Treant coming down. But right now, everything is coming up MyGoodMate.
And there we saw a Berserker's Call for Stormlike trading with 2 heroes, and now we see 4 heroes in the fountain for MyGoodMate. Treant coming back for Stormlike. And now this is the chance to try and, regain control of the board for Stormlike. Treant will come back with his regen in lane 1, save some of these creeps a tiny bit more, I think, and then maybe next turn. But still, these creeps in lane 2 are going to be affecting the board. Helm of the Dominator bought from Stormlike from the Secret Shop, so once again, takes a page out of Swim's book.
Wow.
No Helm in his item deck, and finds the Helm with all those hero kills this turn in the Secret. Wow, that could be really impactful.
Finally, Stormlike catching a bit of a break, and, throughout this entire tournament, not even just the previous match, right? Throughout the entire tournament, we've seen the Secret Shop come up big in some games.
Unfortunately, the biggest creep possible will be either a Centaur from Spring the Trap or a Stonehall Elite, but Stonehall Elite has not been developed yet. I guess the Mercenary Exiles could be an option, but It's more the swing effect. You don't only, you know, take a creep from your opponent, but it's the swing of unlocking a blocker, for example, as well.
Yes. And the fact that it can be used over and over and over again if the game drags out is psychologically demoralizing at times.
This could be the turning point for Stormlike. Spring the Trap played.
We won't
Stonehall lead.
down.
We won't be killing a creep this turn. But that could be the, you know, the choice to steal here. We see the Helm. We'll see MyGoodMate's hand, face rather, once this Helm is equipped. 2 Stonehall Elites, actually.
2 Stonehall Elites coming down.
But none of them getting kills due to the regen, so Treant saving 2 creeps. The Helm is not used yet.
And again, one of those high impact, high IQ lanes. Both players passing. Both players passing. And this is going to be a really big deployment. So 3 heroes coming back for Stormlike, 4 heroes coming back for MyGoodMate, and we are at the point now where players have 9 mana naturally, so all cards available to all players. That means even Thunderhide Alpha is available. This is going to be a very, very big turn.
And the towers are low for Stormlike, but he has the option now with, you know, his ram cards are there naturally, like you said, Thunderhide Alpha to block or to kill even. You know, 25-25 is a really scary unit to go up against.
Yeah, I mean, you can use it to just kill a hero, right? So it doesn't necessarily always have to be about attacking that tower. It is a big body.
I like Sorla in the last lane, but Blink Dagger is on Bristleback, can move over there to block the Sorla. Sorla's blocked anyway by creep.
Well, of course she is. She's not allowed to hit towers, man.
Stonehall Cloak can come down on Phantom Assassin. Hip Fire not too great, cannot kill any heroes. They're all pretty healthy at the moment.
It'll be very, very good in that last lane to free up Sorla.
And now we talked about it. This is going to be chump blocked. There isn't a duel to stop it, so chump block comes out from a Gloaty Vandal and stops a lethal this turn, but still, every turn you have to respond to this Thunderhide Alpha.
And the fact that this is in the first lane means that the longer it is on the board, the more it can threaten an Ancient, and in the first lane, that actually matters.
I
So
never thought I'd fight alongside the Bronze Legion.
the good news for Stormlike is he has another Thunderhide Alpha, so he can potentially pressure the second lane as well. I mean, yes, you're kind of behind in it. It only has 12 health, but just because you lose the tower doesn't mean you still can't take the opponents, and we might see things finally turn in Stormlike's favor.
And there's the Helm of the Dominator to counter the Thunderhide Alpha, so a very heads-up play from Stormlike. He laughs, he smirks.
Yes.
He knows that now there are no blockers with only 1 mana up for MyGoodMate, and that's going to be lethal on this tower.
Both players played all of their mana. It was a bait, and then the big-time Secret Shop item comes down.
And that is why it was saved until this turn. The surprise factor, fantastic for Stormlike, able to get the win on this tower this turn. 29 damage pushing through. He can blink the Bristleback away because it's currently blocked anyway. And the Exiles won't push lethal damage in the first lane for MyGoodMate.
And despite being a bit behind for most of the game, Stormlike draws first blood on the tower kills.
And protecting this second lane as well. Berserker's Call is here for MyGoodMate, but again, now, Legion very healthy, Omni-Knight very healthy.
Here's why that Bristleback move was brilliant. If there's not a Berserker's Call or something that kills a unit here, you can play your second Thunderhide Alpha and it will be in an open position, and now there are no chump blockers in hand for MyGoodMate. And he plays a Cloak, so it is going to come down. I have to imagine you're just going to drop another dinosaur here. You can
10
drop
damage already pushed through means that it'll be off by 3 points. And no more mana will be up for Stormlike. So very close, but not quite there yet in this lane.
I mean, you could take another path, but it's got to be really tempting to put it next to Bristleback because you know that you don't even have to worry about arrows potentially messing you up. It would just be a big, clean execution of the dinosaur. Wow. All right, instead opts for just the pass. Maybe he's holding it for Ancient push in the first lane.
Hipfire can come down here, will push damage onto the tower and get back initiative. Maybe Stormlike was just holding initiative for the first lane as well. With 9 mana, Gank comes down first, kills the Omni Knight, stops the possibility of the Thunderhide Alpha next turn, for example. And you can still now hip fire, save the Sorla, push tower damage, and get initiative back as well.
All right, so very good third lane for MyGoodMate.
Time of Triumph still not drawn for Stormlike.
And we're going to go ahead and see what the cards are that are drawn. MyGoodMate running out of cards like as a resource. We have a pair of Berserker's Calls, but that is currently it. Picks up Spring and Bronze Legionnaire.
Now we're going to see MyGoodMate, I think, maybe threaten this lane, but he could also just... I mean, with this lane so open here and 12 HP pushing through, he could just try and stay here as well. Could play Spring the Trap to block, both of these units, and then play the Bronze Legionnaire to get lethal on the tower.
Stormlike did finally find Time of Triumph.
Savagery can never
So
be disciplined.
that could end up being relevant.
Although if it's played, there's very little chance for blockers. You will have 2 mana open for Legionnaires, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I don't think that it'll be played here. I was kind of looking ahead to the second lane where it's a little bit more contested, and the Time of Triumph would be potential greater value, especially if you have initiative, because then it would mean Berserker's Calls or duels and your heroes would be out of the question. But the danger of doing something like that is then if your opponent uses a call to clear up those creeps, they might threaten your tower. But at mana 10, then you could also come back with a Bronze Legionnaire. There's a lot of paths available to Stormlike when we get to that middle lane, and that's going to be a really important lane.
And the call closes out. Possibilities for MyGoodMate in lane number 1. Kills both heroes there and trades the axe, but 8 mana unused, Spring the Trap unused, for example. Blink Daggers unused, so great call by Stormlike. And now the favor in this lane can, you can play Time of Triumph and Roseleaf Druid, for example.
Or both Bronze Legionnaires. So if your worry was about call, for example, you can still Time a Triumph, and then you have access to 2 blockers here. So very, very good play by Stormlike to send the favor here.
In lane 3, still not taken, no black cards to play. 2 damage away from lethal. No items equipped, obviously, with Jasper Daggers already on Sorla Khan. And the blink from MyGoodMate back to lane 1. We could see a blink on Bristleback as well, or just a Town Portal Scroll. But again, you already lost lane 1. You cannot lose this lane as well, so you can't really blink if you're Bristleback.
Yeah.
The Spring helps in lane 3 just to guarantee the win here. Well, it might be a bit much.
I mean, that's going to help lane 3 go down, but the other 2 towers haven't went down yet. I mean, they're low for Stormlike. They haven't went down yet, and he's got a lot of creeps in his hand, a lot of potential blockers.
Now, if the Bristleback blinks away, you're going to be taking 6 more damage. Will be up to 16, and 2 Legionnaires will be up to 24. So not lethal play yet. Now Town Portal Scroll, I think you definitely have to blink the Bristleback away at this point. Yep, or Town Portal Scroll, of course. And now it's all about lane 1. If MyGoodMate can push through 8 damage,
well,
he can win this game. It'll be a 2v3. The third lane will be taken this turn. You cannot blink the Sorla Khan out, though.
All right, so Stormlike decides that initiative is very important. Decides to just pass. There were some things that could have been done there. You could have cycled Spot Weakness, for example, if you really wanted to try to find an answer. But keeping initiative just in case you draw something, or just in case you want to take a key duel, because again, you're going to have your Time of Triumphed Bristleback coming down.
The Healing Salve bot over the Blink Dagger, I think, just means that this is the end of the game. I think MyGoodMate knows that, it's now or never. You have to take this tower down this turn. Although Bristleback is,
30 seconds.
If it has a good landing, it can Berserker's Call and open up damage with the creep and the 8 damage from Bristleback. But then there are blockers from Stormlike, so.
All right, this is a rather important...
If the Bristleback was here, Time of Triumph could have been used and the 8 damage would go through, so maybe a misplay there from MyGoodMate.
So here's the thing. You can duel with this Bristleback and take out X, locks them out of playing anything, and then Thunder... Well, it's only... You got 4 more damage, takes you to 39. Thunderhide Alpha is 25 more, so you're going to be at 69, you're
The
like
helm
3
can unblock
short.
the damage. You can add 6 and unblock Bristleback as well, and add 10 more.
Yeah, so that is a potential path to lethal there if we would have saw a duel plus Thunderhide Alpha plus the helm. Does Stormlike see it?
It would be lethal, unless the Stonehall somehow curves, but there'd be very low odds.
Well,
yeah, it would be dead, so yeah, there would be no chance to curve.
Yeah, there'd be no chance to curve because it would go to one of the open spots.
We have to see if Stormlike sees the, guaranteed win here. Well, he has to get the second tower. So, yeah.
No, this is the Ancient.
Yeah, that's true.
So
the Thunderhead Alpha comes down. It can curve here, but if the axe is killed anyway, there's no
I'm
possibility.
very surprised that we didn't see the duel first, just to lock him out of being able to play cards.
The duel, of course, would not kill the Bristleback. Very healthy, thanks to the Time of Triumph. And now it becomes a little bit more complicated. Jasper Dagger's not in hand for Stormlike, cannot push through the damage here. He can still steal Stonehall lead. That would still present lethal. By 4 points and no blocker available for MyGoodMate, so that's going to be lethal for Stormlike, taking the Ancient Tower.
He finds it could have maybe arguably been a little bit cleaner and a guaranteed, but ultimately still sees the line and takes the chance. And Stormlike ties this series up.
And even without any sort of ramp, in the red-green list, he still finds a pretty dominant victory there. He has the full control of the board with the regen from All-Seeing One's favor on Treant, and then able to come back with his heroes and the Thunderhead Alpha, for example, take full control of the lane one.
It was a great job of just making sure that things didn't get too out of control in that early game. When you don't find ramp, it feels really bad, but he held on. He's got a victory, and now he's got this blue-green list up against the red-black. The red-black has a lot of tools to slow it down, but there's no interaction with improvements, so sanctums and things like that can come down early if necessary. This is going to be a very interesting game.
Important to note, he is playing Zeus over Luna, so Eclipse not going to be a possibility throughout this whole game. Eclipse will not be there. There's no Mystic Flare, obviously. It's going to be just for damage. It's just Thunderhide or Thunder God's Wrath. And
but the Thunder God's Wrath is really important here, right? Because if you know you're going to have sanctums, you can get those double Thunder Gods, wipe these heroes. Sorla has a smaller health pool, so if there's not a Stonehall Cloak or something that comes down, can shut that down. And I think that one of the things that we're going to be looking for is essentially, can the red-black deck find tower damage? Can we punch Sorla through? And on the other side, if you can even just use dimensional portals to stall, make sure that Sorla's not hitting your towers, then I think it really heavily favors the blue-green list. And game is starting up, so we're going to jump in. Phantom Assassin not finding the Treant.
That would be a huge matchup for MyGoodMate, taking away a ton of pressure from Stormlike. And right away, we see the Sanctum already in hand.
Wow, we
like
see a
Stars
Sanctum,
Align.
Stars Align, and Incarnation. We also see an at any cost for stall. This is a great opening hand for Stormlike.
The Soul Ladder comes down early. We could see Stormlike coming into this lane next turn as well with some good creep spawns. Of course, the creeps will go into the Kana lane next turn, so that's going to be a guarantee open lane. One Drow can come into that lane, but it would be suboptimal with 2 green heroes in the same lane. That could be a very aggressive tower push from MyGoodMate next turn.
Yeah, all of these blue heroes, green heroes, dodging the opposing red and black heroes. So that is a great start for Stormlike there as well. However, that Bronze Legionnaire is going to fight over 3 turns that Kana.
You could see the Exiles play, but again, due to their 4 health, it's going to be a little bit better against Ignite, for example. The Legionnaire would be the weaker option with only 2 health, even regardless of armor, because piercing damage comes to do with Ignite.
And MyGoodMate taking advantage of all of these early plays, because he knows I have to get pressure. The longer this goes, the worse it's going to be for me.
Now the creeps in favor of lane 3 for MyGoodMate means that Sorla might just go there. You have a better split with black heroes in different lanes.
Wow. I'm actually going to be very surprised by this deployment if this is, in fact, where Sorla goes. Because you know that there is 0 chance it's going to hit a tower.
Might see the importance of Tower Estate being played. He knows that Drow will probably come to this lane with Kana. And could want to, might want to play a Tower Estate there to stop the combo from going off a turn early. Rosy Druid drawn, which means that next turn, The combo can be played in this lane. Treant surviving, well,
Yeah.
the armor comes in to help the Treant, the Roseleaf Druid survive as well. So next turn, if there isn't a duel or a gank onto one of these two heroes, we could see the combo go off. The card draw's missing. The hand is not really developed yet for Stormlike. And Sanctum would have to be played backwards into this lane.
And here comes a gank on the Canna. And that is...
Going to be a suicide gank.
Yeah, it's going to be a suicide gank, but it's going to generate an awful lot of pressure in this second lane because Sorla already looking to trade as well. You may even just take a duel here to get the drow out of the way. There might, I was going to say, there might be a temptation for a Censor because this is the only lane that you can actually play it and you're going to take the trade anyway.
And it stops the Annihilation as well, so even if you want to try and reset that lane, you're a turn behind now.
Yeah.
Still 2 turns left after this one for Annihilation to come online.
And at any cost, that is an interesting choice.
Over Sanctum, so now the combo isn't really a possibility in this lane.
Yeah, I was fully expecting the Sanctum to go into that first lane, but just playing it safe.
The Blink Dagger found, so a duel can still kill the Treant in lane 1, for example. Or even just the regular duel with Bristleback into the Zeus in lane 2 if it goes there. It's going to be full control for MyGoodMate in lane 2. And trying to wrestle back control in lane 1. Axe has to do it by himself though for now.
Alright, so because of the refresh, Sanctum can still come down here. And if we see the right pieces...
But the duel should come down before that, I think. One of the two can be played, but not both. There's the insta Blink Dagger to, threaten the duel on either of these heroes from Axe. And now we'll see if Sanctum comes down, then the kill could be on Treant, and if the Stars Line comes down, then the kill will be on Axe. So
a suitable treatment.
Now I think the duel has to come down on Treant now.
I like protecting the Zeus just because you've got far more blue cards that you care about playing. And if you know you can't combo off, then that's fine.
And every player at this level knows exactly what Storm wants to do and exactly how to combat it. He knows that Stars Align, he knows the combo was the scariest thing that could happen in this lane, and he duels the Treant because of it.
So Annihilation was picked up by Stormlike off of that draw. That is a big pickup. You're going to take a lot of damage in that second lane, but then post-deployment on this next round, being able to slow that down.
Well, you're still behind. 4 mana from the Tyler Estate would be a 5 mana next turn, so it has to be this lane even because Assault Ladder is just threatening 14 damage on the tower already, so it could just be a 1-for-1 trade here. The Reft of Signaling would give less gold to your opponent as well, only 2 gold for the Zeus kill. We'll see how much Stormlike is scared of this 14 damage coming through. Ignite comes out instead, so going to play more of a setup.
Yep.
Going to save that single Annihilation in hand for later on. Diabolic can come down but would kill the Roseleaf, so not the best option. Now this is solitaire mode for MyGoodMate. Has the Assault Ladders.
Yeah, this is going to take an awful lot of damage.
It's almost lethal. 6 HP left on this lane too. Ignite pretty useful, or pretty useless rather here for Stormlike.
And the trend of this series continues. Lane 3, really eventful. Lots of presence.
Initiative in favor of Stormlike, which means that MyGoodMate cannot really go all in lane 1 and feel safe doing it, but we see Stormlike here deciding to play maybe a Drow. Oh, 3 heroes here, so Annihilation looking like it's not going to be an option. They're kind of trying to slow down this second lane, but Annihilation's still not there unless the Tyler Estate is killed. And 2 creep spawns there as well.
Yeah, that is a brutal spawn of creeps if you are Stormlike.
Could be an Ancient kill as well over time with the Soul Ladders there already planted.
Yeah, I mean, you have to think that that's actually why that Canna is going into that lane is Stormlike's thinking ahead and saying, all right, I can't protect this, but I also can't afford to lose to an Ancient.
Well, it could be Cood now, and it could be, it could be a gank or a hipfire, so there is counterplay from MyGoodMate.
All right, so we have Stars Align.
Enough magic in the list for MyGoodMate, but not currently in the hand, unfortunately, so he cannot accelerate this through. two copies actually in the deck list, but none in the hand.
So we could actually see, depending on whether or not Ogre Magi throws some love to Thunder God's Wrath, we could see Stormlike absolutely destroy the board right here. Because you have enough after the refresh. Yep, there goes the coup. So you can't play Emissary, but Incarnation has got to still come down.
Yep.
And then at that point, Revelation can help you dig. You've got the Thunder Gods.
Incarnation will come down here, can trade with this creep that's at 3 health. Would be perfect amount of damage even without the Emissary. And like you said, the multicast will be very, very important. Can kill the Sorla as well. Would kill both of these. Well, could kill one of these heroes. Only Stolen Cloak comes down.
MyGoodMate realizes, uh-oh. I need a little bit of protection here.
And there is some card draw as well with Diabolic Revelation. Would not kill anything on the board, so a good play there from Stormlike. There it comes down.
There's another Thunder Gods.
That is huge for Stormlike.
That is massive. And this gives him not only a second Thunder Gods, but a second chance at multicast as well. So first one, no multicast. Here comes the second.
There's the kill on Axe, Sorla, and Legion Commander. 3 heroes dead, and
there's the multicast.
The Zaps will kill the Phantom Assassin as well, so a full clear except for that one Bristleback, but now it'll go down as well.
That is a big, big turning point in this because that is going to be all 5 heroes at the fountain. Stormlike has entered Solitaire mode.
And that's going to be not just 1 turn of Solitaire, but 2 full turns for Stormlike to do whatever he wants. Treant coming down next turn could be an Emissary. The damage here still goes through, though.
Yeah.
The Soul Ladders helps with these creeps that obviously do not get hit by Thunder God's Wrath, and the damage still goes through. So only 1 tower needed for MyGoodMate, but I think it's going to be really difficult. Annihilation on hand already for Stormlike has the option to reset any lane that those heroes come down into.
Yep. And
turn after.
And the downside is that, okay, sure, Stormlike didn't take a tower this turn, right? He had to wait because of the coup that was on Drow. But he's going to take this first one this next turn, and the problem is Red-Black doesn't have a good way to clear a big wide board, right? So you're going to see this go down, and there's still going to be an Ancient threaten in this first lane. MyGoodMate needs an awful lot of help.
The ramp is here for the Emissary. He could find a Prey on the Weak, which is great with these damage units. So that's going to be the first lane taken down for sure.
Again, could be even more with multicast.
And I with them.
All right, little confused by the stars align there just because you already have Incarnation, but doesn't matter. There's a multi.
Fantastic, Charmer. Thanks for jinxing it, buddy. The Prey on the Weak found, the Lethal found, the Pump's going to come in now.
Yep, big time pump.
Annihilation should not be played here.
No.
Well, I mean, some players, they get too excited, they misclick, and it all goes down the drain. But
What?
60 damage already threatened here.
Yeah, and that's without another activation, without this Claymore. So again, this is going to go down here, and then in the following turn, you're still threatening the Ancient. Yes, 5 heroes are going to come down for MyGoodMate, but I'm not sure that it's going to be enough.
No blink for damage either to go to lane 3 maybe and try and threaten something there. So going all in on the Annihilation strategy, you can annihilate here if you are Stormlike, but obviously no reason to yet.
At this point, there's no reason to. What we have to look for, right? When these heroes come down the following turn, that first tower only has 14 health for Stormlike. So MyGoodMate might be thinking, okay, I have no way to stop you from killing my Ancient. Maybe I can force a draw with clearing some stuff with Berserkers. I do also have a Gloaty Vandal, so maybe some burst. But
MyGoodMate's going to seem to go all in on lane 1. He knows Annihilation is a thing, but when you're annihilating a lane that has an Emissary and 3 heroes, you don't feel as good. So maybe putting Stormlike in a weird position. Going to be a 4-1 split in the end, it looks like. Phantom Assassin going to lane 2 to stop the lethal on that. Never mind.
No, I think he knows that if he doesn't stop this Ancient or force a draw in this first lane, like, it's over. I think he's just going to all in here.
Now, a Gloaty Vandal can push 4 damage, and there could be a Berserker's Call to open up some combat damage onto this tower.
Well, the unfortunate thing, though, is you don't have enough mana to do both. So you're looking at Vandal and Gank to maybe open up 14, or Berserker's Call. It kind of depends. So with the positioning here, Call, not really an option, because it's not going to... It'll slow down some damage, but it's not going to open up enough for the draw. So right now, you're kind of thinking, I can gank the creep in front of Sorla, potentially, and
Well,
force a draw.
We see a double Foresight in hand for Stormlike, which means he can fish for a ton more options. Obviously, unlimited mana with Incarnation of Salamene. This cannot be. There's no Slay in the deck for MyGoodMate, no Helm of the Dominator. Bot for him, unfortunately.
Yeah, everything right now favors Stormlike 100%, but MyGoodMate at least has options. Now, we also could just see a Gust here, too, because that would...
Well, red and black would still be available for MyGoodMate, so that's just, those are still options we could.
But there's one, infinite mana, no reason not to, and two, it shuts down the Blink Dagger, so if you are worried about them jumping over, it's good, nice, safe play.
And we could see a Legionnaire played next to the Legion Commander. Legion Commander can suicide, kill herself, Berserker's Call into these 3 Hounds, and 6 damage would be going through.
Yeah. Yeah,
the Assault Ladders.
MyGoodMate is not devoid of options. It looks grim, but not devoid. We're still going to see a lot of cards drawn, right? So Stormlike with those 2 Foresights. All right, so there is a gank, just doing it now in front of the Sorla.
Well, that's pushing through 14, and there's no current blocker for Stormlike, so...
Yeah, but we're going to see...
Well, those are 2 blockers.
A couple of blockers drawn.
Some pretty good blockers to have.
Thank you, Richard.
Second
exactly
Emissary
what I
comes
needed.
down, and MyGoodMate went for an all-in strategy. Tried to just find lethal there and say, if you don't have a blocker, I win the game. But like we said, Stormlike had double Foresight, the chance to multicast, the chance to find Diabolic Revelation.
And we're also now, because it's a second Emissary, we're going to have 2 activations there at a minimum. We might even, before it's all said and done, see another one, because this Revelation could, you buff and then you Revelation to draw because everything will be higher in health.
And Diabolic should come down just to, try and find Dimensional Portals, Prey on the Weeds, etc. to try and find lethal this turn.
Yeah.
Phase Boots come down because Axe is silenced. He cannot use those Phase Boots, so it will not matter anyway.
So there's the Revelation.
Sanctum's not needed here. You already have infinite mana.
Yeah. We should see this Incarnation still come down before the second tap.
At 9 mana you can, because you don't have Stars Align and you're still at the 8 mana before. So because he ramped up early on, he had the chance to play the first Incarnation, but the second one cannot be played this turn.
Yeah. One of those weird caveats where infinite mana doesn't actually mean infinite mana, right?
Yeah, it's horizontal infinite, not vertical infinite. That would be a bit scarier, maybe.
I never thought I'd fight.
The Vandal comes down to threaten 10 damage on the tower, but
it's also another blocker, so... And interestingly enough, this arrow on the Treant kind of relevant because that's preventing the damage from going through.
Still would not be lethal. The Under Secrets can come down in this lane, and because the Gloaty Vandal did damage to the tower, the Under Secrets works in the way that it will check back over the whole round and say, was my tower damaged at all by anything? Because it was, the draw will come in. Even though the combat phase damage is not coming through, we see the 10 health tower without any damage there. It still will draw a card, so heads up play by Stormlike to know about that, very small mechanic that could help him win the game.
So MyGoodMate appears to have properly stalled this turn. And that Gust actually is a lot more relevant now because
there's a card draw, and there's the Prey on the Weak that could really help in this lane. A lot of damage units. There's no multicast, though.
Yeah, there's no multicast, so it might be a consideration to save it and just guarantee you take that Ancient in the first lane.
And the arrow on Kana could be game-losing for Storm. Well, game-stalling at least for Stormlight.
Yeah.
I think he's not going to lose this game just now.
Oh, Richard. Why are there arrows?
He does the math. He knows the Prey on the Weak was not enough without the Kana also doing damage to the tower, and instead just goes for the pass.
So
Initiative.
now, I mean, let's be honest here, right? Like, we're just going through the motions because there's no path for MyGoodMate to get back in this. You only have 2 heroes left. You could draw something to open up the Sorla Khan path again for you, but Prey on the Weak in hand means you've got blockers. Now that we're actually at 9, the Incarnation is an additional blocker, so there's just not going to be enough, unfortunately, for MyGoodMate.
Well, If he finds an opening, if he's not patient, I mean, the damage is already here. So now, yeah, there's just going to be a pass from Stormlike. He says, what do you have? Can you stop this in any way? If not, he's not going to risk it because something like a Berserker's Call could come through. Maybe an open a combat slot for Stormlike Con to do damage to the tower, for example.
And then you
the Prey on the Weak can block that.
You enter with another Incarnation just so you double up on your infinite mana. Then they open it up again, and then you pray. Like, the unfortunate truth, as sad as it is that MyGoodMate is going to be eliminated, and Stormlike will move on.
And the power of the Storm deck shows here with the emissaries, the pumps just going to stall out here. He knows he doesn't have to be optimal at this point. He can keep the Prey in the Weak in hand just to answer to some openings in his combat line here.
Our Abercrombie and Fitch model from Russia, Stormlike, is looking good in his modeling career and his artifact career. This is impressive because he's been kind of an underdog, right? Again, it started with shaky play, but
now, the coup comes out, but the Prey on the Weak is going to shine now. You have the chance to open up. A blocker 10 damage goes through, but Prey on the Weak will answer, or Incarnation, of course, to block the damage, and there's a forfeit from MyGoodMate.
That is it.
Stormlike bows to his viewers.
You know, look, a sigh of relief there. He was like, all right, I don't know what's going on. He's not conceded yet, so he's got something up his sleeve, but congratulations to Stormlike. You are still in it. You're moving on.
To top 4. Going to be a really surprising show from him, but very good play and just very good, you know, dominant from that Storm deck.
Who could have predicted Stormlike would win this 2-1? Analysts?